Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Sandifer, your host. Each week, I interview a business owner or author, and we chat about all things business. We talk about what it takes to launch a business, what it takes to keep a business running, or we talk about what it takes to write a book. Please join me as we talk about other topics that everyone can relate to, such as work-life balance, living with intention, and dreaming big. As these women share their stories with us, it's my hope that you will be encouraged to live out your own story. I also want you to be connected to Rising Stories Podcast, so make sure you hit the subscribe button on iTunes or Stitcher to get the latest episodes of the show. Also, the best and fastest way to connect with me is on Instagram or Twitter. I love hearing from you and who you think I should have on the show. So if you have any suggestions or you just want to say hello, make sure you message me on either of those, Instagram or Twitter. I'm at Sandifer on both Instagram and Twitter. Today, my guest is Jeanne Oliver. She is an amazing mixed media artist who shares some great insights for building your business. She shares her story about feeling as though she had missed her opportunity of fulfilling her lifelong dream. Jeanne gives us so many encouraging truths, and we also discuss how she views failure. Here is my conversation with Jeanne Oliver.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on. I was a little bit intimidated when I was looking at your Facebook page. I was like, oh my gosh, all these friends of mine love her. And I thought, where has she been? Why haven't I had her on the show? So I'm really excited that you came on.
Oh, I'm honored to be asked. Thank you.
This is so cool. So you are an artist. Do you call yourself like a certain type of genre artist, or how do you describe yourself?
No, I'm a working artist, and if I would put myself in any category, probably mixed media, because I like to try a lot of different things and I incorporate a lot of different mediums into my work.
So mixed media would be like things that are maybe I'm not artistic at all, like three-dimensional.
No, it's okay.
Or like.
No, it would mean that maybe I have acrylics with charcoal.
Okay.
Maybe I put in some vintage papers. Maybe I have some stitching in that, or maybe I have some other works that are just oil paints, but I have a hard time not adding more than one medium onto something I'm working with.
So not just like oils, but it would be oils with something else or acrylics with something else is what mixed media means.
Right. It means usually you don't like to be told there are many rules. That's probably for someone who's a mixed media artist. They just like to mix and play and explore and see how different mediums work together.
Okay. That sounds great. I have seen the different types of art kind of ebb and flow throughout the years. Like recently things are like were raised, with like crosses. People were doing that a lot here in Tennessee. I don't know in your part of the country what things were, or if it's something that is worldwide, how things change. How has art changed in the last few years?
I think for me, just personally, it is figuring out what are the mediums that I'm most drawn to not get distracted by what other people are doing or what's the new tool, but really paring down my tools and becoming as fluent and as experienced and comfortable with the mediums that I choose to use. I think that then gives me a lot of freedom when I go to create. So for me, what has changed is just making sure that I'm surrounded by my color palette, that I'm surrounded by the tools that I'm most drawn to, and then to move forward from that point.
How did you fall into this? How did you develop as an artist?
I was a very creative child, and I had really wanted to go to art school. And I was talked out of going to art school. I think I grew up in a very small town, and there wasn't, maybe just not enough, a lot of support, or maybe what I was
Mm-hmm.
asking to do seemed so different from what they thought was safe and wise. But I'm a big believer that the things you're supposed to do, you get second and third chances to do it. So I did go on to college, and I got a psychology and a history degree. I ended up going to DC, and I worked in some grassroots campaign work, and I worked for a large law firm there, doing work, and the intention was to go on to law school. And then I met Kelly, my husband, and about a year after getting married, we got pregnant with Jack, and I just was creative in our house. I was creative with our children and the things we did together. And it really did start very organically, that the things that I was creating, that people started wanting to buy them. And where I started is a far, far journey from where I am right now. But my best advice to people is just to do what's right in front of you, that you're doing well, and let it grow.
That's a great advice, and I love what you just said about. Did you say what you are meant to do? You get second and third chances to do them. Is that what you said? Pretty
Yes,
much.
I
Yeah.
really believe that. So I think I spent years beating myself up because I did not follow at 17 and 18 and 19 the
Mm-hmm.
things that I really wanted to do. And I think a lot of times too, the things that people around us say, it has more to do with them than it has to do with us. But
Mm,
you don't know that when you're 17. You don't
right.
know when someone tells you at 17 or 18 you should do this instead. I took it as they were telling me I wasn't very good. And I didn't realize it at the time, that they were older. They were more worried that I wouldn't have success. And so it was more about them being afraid to be dreamers, to be adventuresome, and that you always have a lifetime to redirect and compromise to.
Mm. Gosh, that is so powerful that when people tell you things, it does reflect on what they're how it's their grid that they're looking through.
Absolutely. It's their experience, and it's based upon their own gifts and their calling.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to give each other the room to explore what we're meant to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's very, very, very important advice to give to someone out there that is maybe thinking, "Oh, I blew it. I didn't, I had my chance and now it's gone." And I'm a firm believer. I've always talked about how women, especially women, I feel like have seasons in life, and that was a
Mm-hmm.
season, and you get another chance to do what you love to do in different seasons in your life. You might get married and have kids, and that's a season, and maybe you're doing something that's somewhat related, but then, you know, you become an empty nester, or things change in your circumstances, and you have another chance to do something different, and then maybe in the same field.
Well, I think if we can be as present as possible in the seasons where we're at, and to look at that, our lives and our actions and the people around us, or the ways our gifts and skills are being used in that season, it's preparing us for the next season. And so
Mm-hmm.
often we can look back, like I did, and have a hard time with myself that I didn't have more courage at a young age, or when we have young kids, or maybe when our kids are teenagers, or I don't, different seasons that we're in, we could be looking to what's coming next instead of being still, just being still and just being present in the season we're at. And the more present we are in those seasons, the more the fruit of that season will grow, I believe.
That is really good. Yeah, that's so true. So, how did you, business wise, how did you build this following and this business? Because there is a business side to your art, because
Mhm.
you sell your art and you have workshops, you do all kinds of things. So, how did this come about?
Really, it is. I think there was a kind of a defining moment in growth for us. I had been giving a artist friend advice, and I was helping her what to do next with her own business. And within a short period of time, short period, I mean 2 weeks, she started offering the thing that I had told her would really change her business. And I remember seeing that and being so inspired to just do it even before you're ready. And that's pretty much our whole business, that we have done things. We've put things out into the world. We've opened workshops before things were put together, before we were ready, before we had it all figured out. And so there's a huge journey in our business over the last 10 years, but it has been consistency. We have consistently shown up every day and worked on what was right in front of us and the most important thing right now. And so many people give up before they get to see the benefits of their hard work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm a firm believer of, like you said, I tell a lot of my clients, because I'm a business and life coach and help women launch their own businesses. And, I always say, let's build your wings on the way down. I mean, just go for it. And it doesn't all have to be perfect. They're always thinking, oh, I've got to have this everything just right for my website, everything just right for this. I've got to do this for a workshop. It's got to have the top of the line of everything. And I'm like, slow down, just do what you can with what you have. And
Yeah, I think you should start where you're at with what you have, because if you wait for everything to be perfect, nothing will be, and you'll never start.
Yeah.
And even after 10 years, I do business consulting also, and I help women also as they're starting their business. And all the time I try to show them where we started, because sometimes they're comparing their first months or their first years to our year 10. And so I like to show them where we were at and the imperfection of it all. And even now, we look like deer in headlights all the time. We're constantly figuring things out. We're constantly saying, you know what, we know this is what's next for us, and we're scared, and we do not know how this is going to turn out, but we know that this is where our passion is. So this is where we're moving forward. And we move forward boldly and a little scared.
And that's when the magic happens, I think. That's when you're, just trying to do what you can and just taking that leap of faith and going for it. I think that's where things magically happen that, are meant to happen. And you get more traction when you're just like going for it and stepping out in faith.
And what's the bad thing about failing? What's the bad thing about falling? I have learned the most about myself and about the direction of our business and what's next by the things that didn't work more than the things that did. So right now, I believe that I know what's next for us and where I'm supposed to put my attention and my energy and my creativity. And I'm okay if I don't know what the response will be to these new ideas that we have coming, but I know that whatever happens, it's because it's preparing me for what's next. And I will figure out what the next step is based upon if this works or it doesn't.
That is so
I just
good.
I think for us to thrive, for us to grow, we're going to fall sometimes and brush ourselves up and get going. And for some reason, sometimes I think we can be so afraid of this falling, this failing, because everyone's watching us, and really everyone's watching to see, what do you do when things don't work out too? It can be a really good thing. It's a good thing for your business. It's a good thing for yourself personally.
And yeah, you're right. Like, what is it about failing? I have a group of friends, and one in particular has started a couple of businesses, and I think she's, trying to find where she fits in, but there's no shame in, you do something, you throw it out there, and if it doesn't work, then just scrap it and go to the next thing. And she boldly does that each season. And I mean, has found some great niches in the market and loves what she does. And so, but she would not have found it had she thought, well, I need to just stick with this. It's, it's what I chose. I don't want to fail. And you just kind of keep going in something that isn't going to make it. And so she knew and just scrapped it and changed things altogether and found where she needed to be. And it was like, yeah, that's, why should we be so afraid to go, to admit that something didn't work out and
Well,
move
it's
on?
interesting because, yeah, absolutely. When I was growing up, I really wanted to go into fashion design, and that's what I had wanted to do. And later, during our business, we were manufacturing dresses, we were manufacturing our bags from a factory here in Denver. So this thing that I thought I always wanted to do, it actually came to be, and I was designing. We were manufacturing, we were selling, we were doing wholesale. And the best part of it was that I realized I don't love doing this, which is so funny. This
Mm,
thing that I was holding on to from all these years ago and feeling sorry for myself that I hadn't followed and I hadn't pursued, and then here we were able to pursue it, and it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. And there was so much about it that I was able then to do it, to let go of it. And it wasn't a failure. People loved our clothing. People loved the bags that we were even manufacturing back then. But for me, I had a very clear direction that this is actually not where I'm supposed to be putting my time, my money, my creativity. And I can now let this dream go
mm-hmm.
because I had a taste of it, and I now know that my creativity is to go in another direction. And so a lot of times it might not look like a failure to the world, and maybe not even a failure to yourself. And even when I think of some of the big things that have happened over the years, I guess I don't look at them like failures. They have taught me what path are we going to go next. And doors have been completely shut. And then other times doors have been blown wide open to let us know, like to face towards where we're being shown favor, where are
Mm-hmm.
people drawn to what we're doing, and pursue that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good because, ultimately you have to live with, you have to have that passion. And if it's not, if you find yourself like you did, where you realize this is not where I really am finding joy, then move on. There's no shame in that.
Right, right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, Jeanne, what is a day in the life of Jeanne? What do you do? And I'm sure it looks different every day, but what's a typical
It
day
does.
for you?
A typical day. I still have young children. I have a 10-year-old and a 14 and almost a 17 right now. And we homeschool our kids.
Oh, wow.
So, which really works with our life and our schedule because we do travel a
Mm-hmm.
lot, and and they are a part of our business, and they are very active in music and creating themselves. And so this has been the very unexpected choice of our life that has worked very well for us. But I'm usually up around 6:30, and at that time I usually have coffee with my husband. That's when I have like my prayer time over the day and the family and the business. And I usually work online from, in that morning till about 9. And then at 9, we start school. So this is obviously just in the school year.
Mm-hmm.
And after school is over, around 1, that is when the afternoon is for home or business. That is when that's when I do the business consulting. And somewhere in there, we are hiking or taking a walk on our land, and hopefully there's some creating that's going on in there also. And then there's usually some cocktails in the studio as the
Love
night
it.
is yeah, starting, and then just family time in the evenings. And then in the midst of that, we sure love to, like I said, to be making art in the studio. We love to spend time as a family, so, and friends. And so anytime we can be gathering friends and family at our house. We love museums. We love hiking. We love being
Yeah.
outside.
So you were telling me about your studio, which is on your property, and it's a 1,300 square foot studio. Do you do anything else other than your work, your artistic work there? Do y'all have couches? Do you gather there as well with family and
hmm
do parties?
Yeah, we do. I do want to say one thing because as we talk about this studio, this is an amazing blessing in our family. And this has been about a year and 4 months since we have had this studio, and maybe a little less than a year that it's actually been finished. I want people to know that I started our business in our unfinished basement in our last house. And I built our business in our dining room in our last house with no
Wow.
doors. So
Wow.
for me, I feel like your studio, when I say your studio, it can be your kitchen table.
Yeah.
It can be your bedroom. It can be your front porch. Before I go into talking about this great studio, it took 10 years to get this studio. And it was an amazing blessing to our family and to our business. But definitely, we spent our years working from our kitchen table, and from most of my online classes were filmed in that dining room without any
Really?
doors. Yes,
Wow.
absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Without any
So
doors. Now
don't.
that's key
Mhm.
because
Oh
because
no,
yeah,
I think
because
you can really appreciate that. Yes. And
exactly.
I think that's part of our success also, that we didn't spend money. We never
Mhm.
went into debt over our business. We didn't spend money that we didn't have.
Mhm.
And we pretty much get help when we are desperate. We expand when we were desperate, when it was so stretched thin until we go to the next level. But I kind of feel that people need to hear that you don't have to have something fancy
Mhm.
to grow what you've been wanting to grow.
Right.
But I can tell you about the studio because it's pretty fun. It has beautiful views around us. We're on about 7 acres in beautiful horse community here in Castle Rock, Colorado. And so we replaced the garage doors of my workshop with glass garage doors. So I look out over rolling hills and a beautiful butte. And this space has tables for when we do gather other people for workshops, but that's very rare, maybe 5 times a year.
Mhm.
And the rest of the time it's for my family. This is where I do business consulting. We have couches in there. This is where I film videos. This is where I make our art. My art, yes.
That sounds great. It sounds so peaceful and like I think even I could come up with something amazing in your art studio.
Well, I'll pour you a cocktail, and we'll put the fireplace on, and we'll get some tools out. And I'm telling you, it's just it is a beautiful, peaceful space that our
Mhm.
whole family and our friends love too.
But at the same time, like you said, you can recreate this in your basement, in an extra
Yeah.
bedroom, or
Yes.
send your kids and your husband out for pizza and invite your friends over and do a
Yeah.
workshop at your kitchen
Yeah.
table because really
That's right.
they're coming for your expertise, right? And
Right.
the experience, it doesn't have to be this gorgeous, although it's wonderful to have, but it
Yeah,
like
that's right. Absolutely. And I think the older I get too, the more that's how I want to be about our home, that I don't want it to feel that it has to be perfect. It's
mhm.
things that I wanted it to be when I was younger. I would rather just gather people. I would rather have people know that they are welcome here. And so yeah, bring people together, bring people into your home, bring people into whatever it is that you're gifting and include them.
I have a girlfriend who, she is so hospitable and she was that way in a small, little condo that she had. She would invite just a house full of people over
Mm-hmm.
for holidays or whatever. And now the Lord's blessed her with a bigger home and she's still having people over and it's still the same experience. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
because of her.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And I think to live out hospitality means that you let people come in and to see that you don't live perfectly. And
Hmm.
nobody wants that anyways, right?
Right, right. Because we want to be real. And I always say those
Yeah.
if you want to come see my house, you have to make an appointment But if you want to come and hang with me, just come
That's
anytime
right.
because
Yeah, come anytime.
it's not always clean. So, well, so tell me, what are your three favorite things that you're absolutely loving?
Mm. Well, I'm trying to think. Can they be doing things or do they need to be? If I have three things that I love, I would say I love charcoal. I
Uh-huh.
always love charcoal. And I am loving abstract painting over the last year. I love music. So we love to collect records and we love to grow that. And we're always listening to music in our family. And our kids have been taking swing dance lessons. So they like to show us moves that make us feel very old and awkward. So that's fun. And I think I love I love a little Lillet at the end of the night with some tonic water and some blood oranges.
Okay, what
That's
is Lillet?
Lillet is just it's like an aperitif from France and you can get it in any liquor store, but it's I just pour a little bit of that over ice with a little tonic water and it's great with some muddled oranges and rosemary.
Oh, that
It's
sounds
perfect for
good.
summer.
That sounds amazing. I'm going to have to try that. That's a
I
great
know.
recipe.
It's super easy but really nice and refreshing.
That sounds great. Are you a reader, Jean? Do you like to
I,
read?
I am
What are you
always
reading these
reading.
days?
I just finished Outliers, the story of success by Malcolm Gladwell.
I love Malcolm Gladwell. Isn't he a
Me
genius?
too.
Did
He's unbelievable, and it's probably one of my favorite things about homeschooling are all the books that I get to share with our children. And
hmm
our oldest is almost 17, so he read this also along with me, and we had the most incredible conversations throughout the whole book. And and he loved just to have it confirmed really that it's your family and your opportunities and it's your practice that creates your success. It's not some innate talent, that it's truly your circumstances but then what you do with them. And we really did have a great time reading that. The funniest thing though that he said, he had just finished the book and he came from out of his room and he said, Mom, that Malcolm Gladwell is lit. And I'm like, yes, he is. He's pretty
Yes,
incredible. But he's brilliant. He is such an incredibly unique voice of our time, I think.
he is. Have you read any of his other books?
I've just started David and Goliath.
Isn't that great? That's a really good one.
And we're heading on a trip soon because I'm teaching out of the country, and Jack wants to read it alongside me. So I'm sure we'll
hmm
have good conversations on that one too. If you haven't, have you checked out Revisionist History? Malcolm Gladwell puts that together.
No.
It's their history, about 45 minutes long. Of all different topics. There's not a lot of them yet, but those are wonderful too.
Is that the podcast? Revisionist?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
they're about 45 minutes though, and led by Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay. I have a book for you. So it's sort of, I guess, I don't know if it would be the sequel to Outliers. It's very similar, but it's called The Talent Code. Have you read The
Hmm,
Talent Code? I'm trying
I
to
have
remember
not.
who it's by. Daniel Collin, I think, or Coyle. Daniel Coyle. The Talent Code. It talks a lot about, why people are successful. Why is it that we have gotten in the last, I guess, 10 years, there have been more women tennis players winning, all the Grand Slams or whatever from Russia, from the, from Russia and, and what their facilities look like compared to ours,
Hmm.
but just, what's the key? So he kind of goes into that and says, why is it that they're successful? What makes them, what's in their training and stuff. This is very fascinating. It's very similar to Outliers, only it kind of has
Yeah.
some answers as far as, why things are, why so many people come from, talent from a certain area, what's been going on in
Right.
that area. So yeah, it's a great book, but I love Malcolm Gladwell. I'll have to listen to that, revisionist podcast.
History.
Yeah, that
Yes,
sounds
they're
good.
very good.
Well, thanks so much, Jeanne, for coming on. This has been so fun. I love that you are doing what you're doing and helping other women, empowering them and helping them to lean in and to go for it. Love that, because that's what we're about here too.
Well, thank you. I feel it's such an honor to be able to live out creativity, and then it's always so much fun to be able to stand beside others as they're doing the same thing.
Wasn't she amazing? And I am so inspired right now to keep going. And I will forever look at failure differently. I hope that you have been inspired to keep living out your dreams. If you missed something that you wanted to jot down from this episode, no worries, because all of the information from this show will be in the show notes at CorrineSandifer.com. Please consider supporting Rising Stories podcast by purchasing books and products mentioned on the show with the link provided in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and keep rising in your own story.